Capricorn, pause for a moment and listen. If this message has reached you, it wasn't by chance. The universe doesn't interrupt people randomly. There are moments when certain truths are released only to those who are ready to understand them. And this is one of those moments. You may have wondered why betrayal feels different to you, why silence becomes heavier than words, why once a line is crossed, something inside you closes forever. That is not weakness. That is design. Capricorn is not built for chaos. You are built for structure, loyalty, and long-term truth. And when someone betrays that foundation, they don't just hurt a person, they disrupt an order. This is why betrayal carries weight around you, not emotional weight, cosmic weight. Because your energy is governed by Saturn, the keeper of time, consequence, and karmic law. Nothing rushed, nothing forgotten. Every action is recorded, every breach is remembered. And while others react immediately, you observe. You withdraw. You let time do what it was designed to do. That's why betrayal doesn't explode around Capricorn. It echoes, and those echoes are never forgotten. If you are Capricorn, this message is here to remind you of something you already feel, but rarely put into words. And if you are not, there may be a reason this found you today. Because what follows are not threats. They are truths. And once you understand them, you'll see why betraying a Capricorn is a mistake that reshapes destiny itself. Capricorn, there is something most people never understand about you. You don't attach easily, you don't trust impulsively, you don't give access without observation. Every bond you form is built, not assumed. While others connect through emotion alone, you connect through consistency, loyalty, and time. You watch how people behave when no one is looking. You measure actions, not promises. So when you finally open the door, it is not accidental, it is intentional. That's why betrayal hits differently. For you, betrayal is not a single action. It is the collapse of an entire structure you spent time building. That is reason one. When someone betrays a Capricorn, they are not breaking trust. They are destroying a foundation. And Capricorn foundations are not rebuilt. There is also something else most people miss. You don't react emotionally because you are weak. You don't explode because you are cold. You don't chase explanations because you already understood. That is reason. 2. When betrayal happens, Capricorn already sees the full picture. There is no confusion, only confirmation. And once confirmation arrives, your energy shifts. You may still speak. You may still be polite. You may still be present. But the bond has already ended. That is reason 3. Capricorn doesn't need confrontation to detach. Detachment happens internally, long before anyone notices. This is why people often realize too late. They think they still have time. They think the door is still open. It isn't. Because when loyalty is broken with Capricorn, what closes is not the relationship. It is access. And this is only the beginning. Because the next truth explains why Capricorn silence is never empty, and why time becomes the most unforgiving witness. If this message made you pause for even a moment, it wasn't by chance. This space isn't for everyone. It's for those who feel before they understand. Allow the next messages to reach you when they're meant to. Here, silence speaks. Capricorn, your greatest ally has never been revenge. It has always been time. Most people rush to react. They argue, they defend, they try to control the outcome. You don't. And that is reason 4. Capricorn understands something instinctively. Time reveals what emotion hides. When betrayal happens, you don't chase justice. You don't demand explanations. You step back, and you allow time to expose what words never could. And time is ruled by Saturn. Saturn does not punish quickly. It observes. It delays. It allows patterns to repeat until truth becomes undeniable. That is reason 5. Those who betray a Capricorn are not corrected immediately. They are allowed to continue until their own behavior collapses the structure they stand on. This is why consequences around Capricorn feel strange. They don't arrive loudly. They don't announce themselves. They unfold. A decision here, a loss there, a relationship weakening, a path slowly closing. And no one connects it back to the moment of betrayal. except you. Because you felt the shift the instant loyalty was broken. That is reason 6. Capricorn senses energetic imbalance before it becomes visible reality. While others move on emotionally, you remain still, watching time rearrange the pieces. And here is the part few want to hear. When you withdraw your energy, you don't just leave emotionally. You remove stability. That is reason 7. Capricorn energy anchors systems, people, and long-term plans. When that anchor is removed, things begin to drift. Careers lose direction, relationships lose structure, confidence weakens. Not because you wished it, but because your presence was holding more than anyone realized. This is why betrayal around Capricorn never feels finished. It feels delayed, because time is still working. And in the next truth, you'll understand why Capricorn never needs to warn twice, and why silence becomes the final message. Capricorn, there is a moment when you stop explaining, not because you're tired of talking, but because you've understood enough. This is reason 8. When betrayal happens, you don't rush to cut ties. You observe how the person behaves after crossing the line. You watch if there is accountability. You watch if there is awareness. And when there isn't, something inside you locks. No anger, no drama, no announcement, just clarity. That is reason 9. Capricorn doesn't give second warnings because loyalty should never require reminders. Once someone shows they can cross a boundary without respect, you don't debate it. You accept the truth of who they are, and acceptance for Capricorn is final. This is where silence begins to speak. You don't withdraw to punish. You withdraw to protect structure. That is reason 10. Capricorn understands that explaining boundaries to those who already crossed them only teaches them how to cross again. So you become quieter. You share less. You stop offering access to your inner world. And people mistake this for distance. They think you're busy. They think nothing has changed. But everything has. Because Capricorn silence is not emptiness. It is a closed gate. And once that gate is closed, no apology opens it. No explanation reverses it. No emotion overrides it. That is reason 11. Capricorn does not reopen what was closed in clarity. And the most unsettling part? Most people don't realize this moment happened until they need something and discover you are no longer there. In the next. Truth will reveal what happens after Capricorn steps back, when Saturn begins to correct the imbalance. Capricorn, there is a moment when things stop being personal. Not because the pain disappears, but because the lesson has already been learned. This is reason 12. Once you step back internally, the situation is no longer about betrayal. It becomes about balance. Saturn does not intervene when emotions are loud. It intervenes when clarity is reached. That is reason 13. When Capricorn reaches calm after betrayal, the universe recognizes resolution, and correction begins. From that point forward, events no longer require your involvement. You don't chase closure. You don't confront. You don't explain. Because Saturn doesn't need witnesses. This is reason 14. Consequences around Capricorn are not emotional reactions. They are structural corrections. Things begin to shift quietly. Paths that once seemed stable become unstable. Support systems weaken. Timing turns against those who acted without integrity. And it doesn't happen all at once. It unfolds with precision, because Saturn teaches through delay, not shock. This is reason 15. Delayed consequences cut deeper because they are misunderstood until it's too late. People call it bad luck. They call it coincidence. They call it life. But you recognize the pattern because you've seen it before. And here is the truth few admit. Capricorn doesn't need to be present for the correction to continue. That is reason 16. Once balance is activated, your energy is no longer required. You have already done your part by stepping away with clarity. And when that happens, there is no reversal. Because Saturn never undoes a lesson that has already begun. In the next truth, we'll reveal why Capricorn is always protected after betrayal, and why fighting back was never your role. If you're still here, it's because this truth resonates deeper than words. When something resonates, it's meant to be acknowledged. Honor this moment by staying where messages like this continue to arrive. What comes next is not revealed to everyone. Capricorn, there is something that has always surrounded you, even when you felt exposed. Protection. Not the kind that prevents pain, but the kind that limits damage and redirects outcomes. This is reason 17. You were never meant to fight back. You were meant to withstand. Saturn does not reward impulsive defense. It rewards endurance, integrity, and restraint. When betrayal happens, and you choose silence over reaction, something ancient responds. That is reason 18. Capricorn restraint activates protection that others never experience. Opportunities that would have harmed you never fully form. People who meant to take advantage lose access. You may not see it immediately, but you feel it as a strange calm, a sense that something was avoided, because it was. And here is the final layer most people never notice. When you walk away without hatred, you remain aligned. That is reason 19. Alignment keeps your path clear while others struggle against resistance. You don't need to sabotage. You don't need to expose. You don't need to prove anything. Your consistency becomes the proof. And finally, the reason that holds all others together. This is reason 20. Capricorn does not lose through betrayal. It reveals who was never meant to walk beside you. And revelation is not loss. It is liberation. In the final moment, we'll speak directly to you, not as a sign, but as a soul. Capricorn, this part is not about them anymore. It's about you, about the weight you carried quietly, about the loyalty you gave without guarantees, about the patience you extended longer than most would. You didn't endure betrayal because you were weak. You endured it because you were built to last. And there is something you need to hear clearly. You were never meant to hold everyone together. Some people entered your life to learn stability, not to provide it. Some stayed longer than they deserved because you believed in potential more than proof. That was not a mistake. That was part of your nature. But this moment marks a shift. You are no longer here to absorb imbalance. You are here to refine alignment. If betrayal stripped anything away, it wasn't love, it wasn't trust, it was illusion. And illusion is heavy. So when you felt lighter after letting go, that wasn't emptiness. That was truth returning. You don't need to harden your heart. You don't need to close yourself off. You only need to be more selective with where your loyalty goes. Because loyalty is not infinite energy. It is sacred. And now, you are allowed to rest. You are allowed to build again without carrying what was never yours. And if this message feels personal, it's because it is. Some lessons come wrapped in loss only to reveal freedom underneath. And in the final moment, there is one last truth that must be said before this message. Closes. Capricorn. If you stayed until this moment, it means this message wasn't casual. Some truths don't come to comfort. They come to clarify. Betrayal was never meant to break you. It was meant to reveal what could not remain. You don't need to warn. You don't need to explain. You don't need to justify your distance. Silence was the boundary. And boundaries don't shout. They stand. From this point forward, what aligns will stay. What doesn't will fall away on its own. And that is not cruelty. That is order. If you are Capricorn, remember this. Your calm is not indifference. It is discernment. And discernment changes futures. And if this message found you for another reason, to reflect, to understand, or to recognize what was lost, take it seriously, because Capricorn doesn't warn twice. In the next message, we'll reveal what happens when Capricorn finally stops explaining and chooses peace over permission. Listen when it arrives. Capricorn, if this message stayed with you, until now, it's because something inside you recognized it. Some truths don't need explanation. They only need presence. This space exists for those who understand silence, respect boundaries, and feel the weight of loyalty. If you want to remain where messages like this arrive when they are meant to, stay connected to this space. Like this video to honor this message. Subscribe to remain aligned with what comes next, not out of habit, but out of alignment. And if this message left a mark, leave. A single word below. Not for me, for yourself. Because what is acknowledged becomes conscious. and what becomes conscious can no longer be ignored. Until the next message arrives, protect your energy, honor your boundaries, and remember, Capricorn never warns twice.